Hey, Stoney here with another over-explained video, and this time we're going to look at a very strange but effective strategy involving mass phantom race. Let's go. Alright, at the bottom here we have Belief playing as a supply specialist, and he's up against Apricot Scrub playing as a quick supply specialist. So a bit of a background, I actually came across this strategy reading Reddit by a post from Apricot Scrub, and he essentially said I went from 1600 MMR to like 2100 MMR by doing nothing but spamming phantom rays in the backline. So when I first saw that post, I was like, well, no, that's not gonna happen, right? That's such an obvious strategy, and there's so many counters that you can do against it. But I did play a game against Apricot Scrub at some point, and I lost that game knowing exactly what he was going to do. And then since then, I asked him for a couple of replays, and I came to realize that this is actually a pretty strong strategy, especially not so much at the high 2000 MMR, because there's definitely counters to this, but for those that are in the mid, 1500, even the 1800 MMR, I feel like this is a strong strategy, and I want to bring this to you. We're going to look at several games here. The first two games are from Apricot Scrub, and they are games versus very strong players. So Believe here, I think is around 2300 MMR, so definitely not an average player. The next game is going to be against a 201 player. I think it's like a Smurf for B-Man, which is again like 22, 2300 MMR. We're going to take a look at how these games work. And then on the third game is going to be one against my friend I Am Znart. And in that particular game, I actually told him exactly what I'm going to do. And he is supposed to defend knowing what I'm going to do. And then in the final game is a game that I've played using a bit of a variation of the strategy that you've seen here. That is also effective in a aggro position. All right. So in this game here, but actually before we talk about this game specifically, just a quick rundown of the strategy from Apricot Scrub. So the general thought of the strategy is you want to play standard. Starting on round 2, you want to skip your reinforcement, so you get 450, unless you're supply spec. And then you're going to put down 2 squads of Phantom Rays. And then every round after that, you're going to continue to put down 2 squads of Phantom Rays every single round while taking Cloak first, and at the same time trying to build your board with more chaff clear. So the idea is at a certain point, there would just simply be too many Phantom Rays for your opponent to reliably deal with, and then you roll them over. So it's almost like a sledgehammer carry. Like if your opponent aren't reacting to it quickly enough, even after realizing the issue and start dropping down scorpions, if your sledgehammers are already at level 2 or level 3 with mech rage and with range, it becomes very difficult to finish, right? So it's the similar idea. It's a scalable build that snowballs out of hand. So right now we're at round 2. We saw the 2 Phantom Rays, and at this point I think a player like Believe would have seen something, right? Round 3 we got a unit drop. Fire Badger is a great unit here. It chaff clears fantastically and also has a lot of HP, so it helps these Phantom Rays to kind of stay in power. Believe took the Mustangs, which I think was a great option, also adding in the Phoenixes to deal specifically with the Phantom Rays. Cloak is chosen here for Apricot Scrub. Okay. And the third Phantom Ray is added because he took Cloak, so there's actually not enough supply to go with double Phantom Rays this turn. Range is added on these arc lights. So as far as AA goes, we got a level 3 Mustang and we got a squad of Phoenixes. Theoretically, it should be enough to deal with these Phantom Rays. Okay, good missile. The Phoenixes also help in dealing with the sledgehammers. The steel balls, they are mostly chaff at this point. They're just there for tanking. However, on the left hand side, there's absolutely no defense, which means once the steel balls die, then the Fire Badgers will get to move on to these Mustangs, and it becomes a bit of a race against time. But Looking at this board here, it looks like the Phoenixes are clearing out this Phantom Race fairly well, but now with Cloak, that becomes an issue because now this Phantom Race just escaped the, yeah, there it is. Escaped that initial shot and now picking up the Phoenix. But so far, though, it's not too bad, right? We did clear out this side of the board. On the other side, yes, there was just a single Arclight defending against like this whole army. But I think it's reasonable, right? It is not something that is a bad play. It is a reasonable play, Mustang Phoenix into Phantom Race. So now let's see what happens after that. Alright, we're getting to round 4, and if I'm still following along the strategy, there should be 2 more Phantom Rays at the top. And as a defender, if I were to play this game, I'd probably take AA on the Mustangs. Actually, before I do that, just check on attack. There is armor on the Phantom Rays, so taking AA might be a bit of an overcommitment. Having range allows the Mustangs to stay alive for a little bit longer. Level up the Phoenixes, even more Phoenixes. Alright, for our red player, it's going to be some level ups and just some more Phantom Rays. I mean, upon first glance, this looks like a 1400 strategy, just spamming a single unit. But let's see what happens. So we got some more HP at the front in the form of these leveled sledgehammers, which is very good. The Arclight will be stuck on them for quite a while. And here comes the Fire Badgers, getting rid of some initial chaff. The Phoenixes are working, so they already targeted 2 of the 3 Phantom Rays on the left. However, oh, there it goes, the final Phantom Ray. We still have some Phantom Rays in the sky. The left-hand side is starting to break through because the Phoenixes died. And we got the level 2 Phoenix getting rid of the Phantom Rays, so we still have level 3 Mustangs. Okay, things are looking pretty good for our defender here. Reinforcement cars, none of this is particularly good. Maybe a giant if you want to get unit production. Rhino Assault, I mean, where are you going to put the Rhino? That's blue. I mean, you can't really put it in the back line, so it's probably going to be at the front. The oil is pretty devastating. We do have Fire Badgers, so the oil is going to burn some Mustangs for sure. Alright, more chaff is going down. Armor is added for the Phantom Rays, specifically to deal with these Mustangs. I think they are starting to get out of control. If I were the red player, I probably wouldn't take armor. I'd probably take shield. So that way you're having some adequate defense against both the Phoenixes and the Mustangs. Right now, I think the Phoenixes is really what's killing the Phantom Rays. But let's see. Armor does give you additional HP as well. Lots of Phantom Rays, just more Phantom Rays. Okay, we got a big Rhino coming in for the tower. I think he will get it. Yep, it's gonna come in. It's gonna get the tower. Not a great round here, but we still have so many Phantom Rays in the air. Can we do it? Okay. The Fire Badger did not actually ignite the fire, but he has one more turn to make it happen, so possibly taking range on the Fire Badger. All these Mustangs, they're sitting in the fire right now. They're just ripe for that attack here. Alright, second unit drop. We got Vulcan. So double insurance, just to make sure the fire gets ignited. Vulcan Phantom Ray is a potent combination. It's almost like the Vulcan boat, where your Vulcan is dealing with everything on the ground and the boat kills everything else. So same idea with the Phantom Rays. Triple tech now with shield, so now these Phantom Rays becomes extremely difficult to deal with. The Typhoons, I don't believe the Typhoons are the correct units. I think the Phantom Rays just killed them too quickly. We have homing missile, that's to deal with these sledgehammers and also the Fire Badgers, because we know that once you get rid of these chaff clearing units, then the Phantom Rays will get stuck on a lot of crawlers for a little bit. Alright, more Phoenixes are being added on. And this is where Phantom Rays becomes difficult because of the double defensive tech. The energy shield essentially doubles their HP, so the Phoenix would take twice as long to kill them. And also with the level 3 Phoenix, the first shot will always just break the shield, so there may not be enough time for them to kill this many Phantom Rays. Armor, of course, are fantastic against things like Mustangs, and also into things like Typhoons. They're simply just not good. So I think Typhoon was not the right choice here. Alright, the fire ignited everything. Holy crap, is this going to be like a single round KO? I mean, it's devastating. It might be a 2-round KO, but we'll see. Yeah, 0 defense here from our blue player. So a huge amount of damage being dealt. Not exactly dead yet, but very tricky to deal with. I mean, what can you do at this point? ER Phantom Ray is being offered. I don't think ER Phantom Ray should be taken. I think if you have this many defensive tech and also cloak, you can simply just walk up to your opponent. On the ground is taken. I think that's a great choice. Anything to do stall this Phantom Rays. But because we have Fire Badgers behind the tower, so this underground is not going to achieve all too much. Wouldn't be surprised if the Vulcan actually take Incendiary Bomb at this turn. It's just so good at getting rid of stuff on the ground. And there it is. Yeah, and this is where the Phantom Rays start to outscale you. And like when you have this many Phantom Rays, if you don't already have equal number, if not more, of Phoenixes, you're not able to win this. I think this is a misclick of taking Jump Drive. There's no reason to take Jump Drive. I think he meant to take the Mothership. But even with Mothership, there's not enough Wasp to actually defend against the Phantom Ray. Like, when you're defending against Phantom Rays using boats, I think the best tech is Launcher Overload, because it allows you to kill an entire squad of Phantom Rays before the second volley. But if you don't have that, then yeah, I don't see how you can win this round. Okay, so not a perfect game from our blue player, but as you can see, like once the Phantom Rays scale to a certain point, it just becomes very difficult to dislodge. Alright, so a seemingly simple build, proving to be very strong in the later games. We're going to see if this can happen multiple times in a different setup and also later on in aggro. So what did we learn so far with this Phantom Ray build? Well, you start with the Phantom Rays. At round 2, you skip the reinforcement, so you get your first 2 Phantom Rays. And then every round, you keep adding Phantom Rays and taking technology. You don't have to take all the technology like the shield and armor. Sometimes all you need is probably just cloak. Most of the time you need shield because your opponent will most likely use marksman or AA marksman or phoenixes to deal with that. But if they are using like the Mustangs, then sure, taking armor will be a good option. And then you just keep building until you have a board like this at around 8 or 9 Phantom Rays with some chapter. All right, let's jump into the second game here. All right, in this game, we have a Smurf account maybe for B-Man. I mean, this account is also 2000 MMR plus, playing as an Amplify specialist, and he's up against Apricot Scrap, playing as an Aerial specialist. Because he's Aerial specialist, he doesn't actually need to save 50 on the second round. He can take a free item and then just unlock Phantom Ray. In fact, he can unlock Phantom Ray the first round, but he's not going to do that. He's just going to be behind the tower, very standard, very defensive type of build. At the bottom here, we do have a Aggro Steel Ball Crawler with Arclight. Okay, so let's see how this goes. I'm mostly interested in the defender's response and also just at which point did the Phantom Ray start to outscale your opponent. Okay, round 2. We got unit drop actually Phantom Ray is being offered. Okay, that's super convenient. I'm gonna guess that Apricot Scrub is gonna take the Phantom Ray. B-Man is gonna take the Farseer. Farseer makes sense. They're actually pretty decent into Phantom Rays. They do a considerable amount of damage. Alright, so we got Farseer, more Arc Light. Scorpion was also another option, but with level 2 Phantom Rays being offered in the unit drop, is a little risky just to take the Scorpion into Sledgehammers. And right now, there's no indication that our rep player is committing into Sledgehammers. Wow, interesting. He did not take the free Phantom Ray because he's aerial spec, because, you know, he can unlock it anytime he wants. But instead, he's opting for more chaff clear and chaff in the form of these level 2 fangs. That's curious. Okay, so he's deviating from his original strategy a little bit of having 2 squads of Phantom Rays on round 2. Now instead, it's going to be more tanks. No Phantom Rays just yet. We'll see how this plays out. Having more tanks in round 2 when there's a Scorpion drop is risky. I wouldn't recommend it. At least I would want to wait and see if your opponent actually goes into Scorpions, because otherwise you have to sell your tank because they become less efficient into Scorpions. Level 2 Fangs, doing a lot of work, especially into the steel balls, adding a considerable amount of damage, but I don't think that's enough. Maybe into the Farseer, we'll see. No, just not enough. The Farseer is just a little too tanky, and of course, combined with these Arc Lights, they are just doing a lot of chaff clear. Okay, we got Amcor. He's taking for our blue player. An advanced missile, okay. So we do have steel balls and crawler at the front with nothing in front of them, so you can get a cheeky missile out if there are no defense on that. Additional fans get added. I hope one of these fans is going to go right here, because that is going to protect these steel balls. We're at round 3, double Phantom Rays, immediately taking the tech. Okay, good missile. Phantom Rays coming in. Looking at the board here, the only meaningful offshoot is this Farseer. Now it does have a small Amcor, so it does do a little bit more damage, but I don't think it's enough. And with so much chaff clear on the side, the Phantom Ray can just go over and just pop the Farseer, right? Yeah, but the downside though is most of the Phantom Rays are now on the other side of the map. But no matter, I think the Phantom Ray with Cloak can deal with these type of situation exceptionally well. Okay. Incendiary, anything to get rid of chaff on the ground will allow the Phantom Rays to maximize their damage. So we're going to take Incendiary, we're going to put it on the asymmetrical side. It makes sense. It's extremely powerful when your opponent play asym. The Farseer got sold. Interesting. Now the question is, what is going to be the answer for the Phantom Rays? Additional fangs get added. Okay. I don't believe the fangs are... I mean, I get it, right? You want to protect your unit, especially your steel balls, but I don't think our blue player realizes the gravity of the situation. We do have jump drive wasps, so wasps themselves are decent into Phantom Rays, especially if you take range and AA, but for now, I think the wasps themselves, aside from getting this tower, are probably not going to do too good into the Phantom Rays, especially with fire on the ground. So it's going to be a pretty good round here for our red player. All right, now that we know there's going to be a Phantom Ray spam, and of course there's Phoenixes. I think Phoenix is the no-brainer. Just take the Phoenix and run. Vulcan is being selected for our red players, just for some additional chaff clear, and of course, more Phantom Rays. So now we're back on the path. So we got additional Phantom Rays every single round. Now, because Phoenix is being offered, I think it makes sense for the Phantom Rays to take shield at some point, if not even this turn, because it's just being offered. And shield also helps against units like the Wasps, because you simply double the HP of the Phantom Rays. Alright, so we got Phoenixes, but did not keep the Phoenixes. Instead, sold them for double boats with Launcher Overload. Launcher Overload, as I mentioned in Game 1, is a hard counter into Phantom Rays. It allows them to kill multiple units before they can shoot the second time, so it does shoot slightly faster than the Phantom Rays, and it also has a slightly higher range, right? So 90 meters versus the 65 meters. And now it just comes down to numbers, like will you have enough boats versus this many Phantom Rays? And remember, these are cloaked Phantom Rays, which means your range really doesn't have that much of an advantage unless you have chaff in front for them to shoot at. And right now the chaff issue is being solved by this level 2 Vulcan. So all in all, I think the boats are a decent choice, but I don't know if they're good enough here versus this many Phantom Rays. Most of the chaff are disappearing, and of course here the Arclight being stuck on the sledgehammers. Alright, yeah, boats are doing work, and as you can see, they are killing Phantom Rays fairly quickly, but just not fast enough though, right? Okay, we do have a single boat here that's able to take down this level 2 Vulcan, and also hopefully tower, but this is going to be pretty meaningless because neither of their armies are in firing range of each other. If anything, I think this tower here by a red player is going to be even better. And we got 2 sneaky Phantom Rays going over for that tower. And this boat is going to die before it has the opportunity to kill too many Phantom Rays, so that's unfortunate. But even then, like you saw, this boat was just doing a lot of work into the Phantom Rays. So when you're playing with this strategy, I mean, in standard, I think that's okay. But if you're playing with Phantom Rays on the line and your opponent just goes heavy into Overlords, I don't believe this is the right move just to spam more Phantom Rays. You might have to switch your strategy by adding either boats of your own or just get more melters. Okay, we got some level Phantom Rays on our level 3. Range on the Overlords. I'm not sold on the range. I feel like the Overlord can probably... Like, what is range going to do for your Overlord? Nothing. You probably can chaff clear a little bit better, but as far as the Phantom Rays go, you can't shoot them because of the cloak until they're in range. So having more Overlords is better than having range on the Overlords because you're not really defending against that, right? So when you're playing Phantom Ray and your opponent takes range Overlord, I think that's actually very good then for you. Looking at the board here, blue player just has a very small army, and of the army he does have is not optimized. For example, this Arclight would never get any of these chaff below behind the sledgehammers because the Arclight will get stuck on the sledgehammers. These Wasps, I know it's trying to get to the tower. I just don't know if it's going to get to the tower. And then these range boats, there's only 3 of them into like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squads of Phantom Rays. Some of them are level 2 and level 3. So it is questionable. But we'll see how it works. This one is already locking onto a level 3 Phantom Ray, which is fantastic. And of course, these Phantom Rays are also being locked on. Oh, level 3 Phantom Rays hit so hard. My goodness. Oh, these aren't even level 3. These are level 2 Phantom Rays. Okay. Ooh, terrible tower timing as well. All right, next round. I think it's a no-brainer. Just add even more. We'll maybe take Mustang production. Yeah, Mustang production, and just add like 3 more boats, right? That's like a no-brainer. Just boat, Mustang production somewhere here. Take your wasps. Maybe put your wasp like in the back line here. Right here works too. High explosive. Not sure if that's the right move. You're spending so much money on technologies, but you're not really getting the damage done. A very smart move here for our rep player, noticing that your opponent is spamming boats and taking 3 squads of anti-missile Mustangs, and that will certainly help in mitigating some of that damage. If you're playing defense, anti-missile Mustangs also can work well into Phantom Race, but you just have to have another form of chaff clear, either in the form of arc lights or Vulcan, because those Mustangs, they're not going to do anything in terms of chaff clear. They'll be shooting at missiles all day long. Okay, oil. I think this is the nail in the coffin here. Okay, so yes, the boats are terrifying, but guess what? No chaff in front of the boats, which means the Phantom Ray gets to go in range, and because these are level Phantom Rays, they actually get to kill the boat in 1 to 2 volleys, which is not great. On the left hand side though, these boats are actually doing quite a bit of damage. Yep, clearing out that side of the board. Alright, we're gonna get a good tower timing. So hopefully once you get tower, you'll be able to clear out the rest of the board. I mean, either way, he won't lose this round. So, and this boat's turn in the last minute. Okay, still good tower, still good tower. Yep, still working on a Phantom Ray. And yes, it's going to be a win, I think. Unless the tower timing is just too good. Oh man. High explosive is just yeah, so much damage reduction. Okay, I think blue should be able to stabilize here. Portable shield is a great card on a boat, and it's also a great card on a Phantom Ray. But actually no, I take that back. He already has shield, so I'll probably just take it and put on something else. Okay, so blue player. More boats, right? There's no other answer aside from more boats. And then for our rep player, more Mustangs, just dealing with everything here. Oil is purchased. Oil is going to slow everything down. Okay, good shield. How many Mustangs do we have? We have 6 squads of AM Mustangs into 5 boats, possibly even more, but at this point I think the boats are countered pretty hard by the Mustangs. Yeah, more boats. You could probably take a loan and get 1 more boat. Alright, so triple tech boats into lots of AM Mustangs. They're doing okay. I mean, the missiles are traveling, but chaff is a bit of a problem. On the left hand side though, I feel like these boats are doing what they're supposed to do, and they're taking down his Phantom Rays in short order. Okay, level 3 Phantom Rays, they're engaging, but I don't think they're able to kill the boats just yet. Yep, so the left hand side, the boats are winning. And this is going to be a huge round for our blue player because the boats are now fully online. So if you're playing the Phantom Ray strategy, just note that this is a potential issue. So very good round here for our blue player. Now let's see how our rep player deals with that problem. Okay, so we got underground threat. We'll continue to level these Phantom Rays. This one is already a level 6, so very powerful. The level 1 Overlord with the item, I think it could get another level. We got Underground in the back. Please defend against the Underground. I mean, at this level, there's no reason not to defend against the Underground. And it's just more Mustangs. So we're kind of in this critical mass fight, right? How many Mustangs do you need to completely stop all these boats is the question. Okay, so we have missile for defense. Where's the Underground? Oh, here's the Underground. Oh, the Underground is not even from red, it's from blue. So it's there just to create some problem. Oh, there it is, the red's Underground coming in. There's no actual unit defense. This arc light right here will turn around and shoot. But on the other side, I don't believe there's anything. Hopefully the missile will actually deal with most of the crawlers. Oh, there it is. So we got a single boat here with a duty to chaff clear. 350 left over. Could just take... Oh, no. No more loans. But we still have overlords just coming down. All right. He's been selling arc lights all this time because the overlords are strong enough to chaff clear on their own. And now let's watch the critical mass of Mustangs and see how well they do. Because once you kill a few overlords, then none of the missiles will actually connect. And on the right hand side, this is exactly what's happening, right? You see that a few overlords died, and then the remainder would never be able to do any damage simply because they don't have the critical mass for the missiles. Okay. Alright, he's going to win. I think that's going to be game here for our rep player. So a Phantom Ray build, which got your opponent into a Overlord focused build, which ended up costing him the game because of the critical mass on anti-missile devices from these Mustangs. There is a way to deal with this, possibly with just Vulcans. But for now, I think this was fairly successful for our rep player. All right, let's go into another game where my opponent knows exactly what I'm doing with the Phantom Rays, and let's see if this strategy still works. All right, so in this game, I am up against I am Znart. And before this game, we actually had a few games already where I tried the Phantom Ray strategy on him. And he's fully aware that this is the strategy that I'm going to go with. So his job is to prevent my strategy from rolling out of control. At the point of this game, my MMR is around 2100. I am Znart is around 2000. I started off with supply spec with Mustangs and crawlers, and he's going with giant spec with stone crawlers and crawlers. Not a fantastic start for me because all he really needs is just 2 arc lights, and that will be the end of that. Now, because I am supply spec, I can get a single squad of Phantom Rays right off the bat. So that is going to create a bit of an issue for my friend here, because I don't imagine him to get chaff clear, especially at round 1. The units aren't exactly all the way in the back line, so there's sort of a midline pseudo aggro. Because I want to see how well these Mustangs do in this configuration. Okay, so round 1 is just cheese. I have air and he has no offshoot, so I'm able to just clear everything out here. All right, we got our first unit drop. I think Triple Fangs is just too good to skip for both players. For my opponent, he could also take the triple marksman. They are decent into Phantom Rays, but the problem I saw with marksman, especially in the later rounds, is that you fall off in terms of deployment, right? Every time you buy a Phantom Ray, you get a pack of 3. Every time you buy a marksman, you get a single marksman, and a single marksman is not able to kill Phantom Rays fast enough, especially if you take energy shield. So that becomes a bit of an issue. Both of us took the Fangs. I think that's a good pick. And I fully expect my opponent to start putting down range arc lights at some point. For me, instead of building more Phantom Rays, I just wanted to complete my line here with just the Mustangs. So I added 2 more squads of Mustangs with the intention of going Phantom Rays the next round. And speaking of arc lights, here they are. Arc lights is a strong counter into pretty much everything on my side of the board with the exception of Phantom Rays. And for now, at round 2, I think my opponent is simply trying to hold off my Phantom Rays with some late arriving bans. You never want to overcommit into something unless you're sure that whatever you're committing into directly counters your opponent's boards. Because at this point, I could easily turn into something else, even though I did tell my opponent that I am going to spam Phantom Rays. But in a real game, you can't really trust your opponent into going something heavy until you see that's exactly what they're going for. So in the beginning, first couple rounds is always good to just make your board as flexible as possible, and by that I mean having a lot of chaff, because regardless what sort of carry units you're going to choose later on, chaff will always help your board, and also with chaff clear. So in this case, having more Mustangs, having more arc lights, having more chaff, you just can't go wrong with that. All right, looks like those 3 fans are able to take care of the final Phantom Ray. Getting to round 3, I think this is my opportunity to get more Phantom Rays. Additional deployment is offered. I think that's a great card, but Bombard is also offered. So into a board with so many chaff units, then it would be a miss not to take Bombard. And it's difficult to defend for both players. I mean, where are you going to put the shield, right? Are you going to spend 400 with 4 shield bubbles to defend against the 150 supply ability? Probably not. Range arc lights, a direct counter into pretty much everything I have on the board. They also outrange the Mustangs, so a very strong play. I've added more Phantom Rays. I suspect the Bombard will happen on this side because I did have the additional Phantom Ray here. So more Phantom Rays are going to happen on the other side. But these range arc light though, they are going to do so much work into my board. Alright, the initial wave of chaff is gone. We have some leftover fans. Actually, the Bombard took care of that single squad. Actually, 2 squads of fans on the side, so it's really good. And out of sudden, my opponent is without upshoot. Okay, so now that I've shown my hand, it is going to be Phantom Rays. Efficient Light Manufacturing is a great card for me, because I will be spamming Phantom Rays, I'll be spamming Mustangs, I'll be spamming lots of chaff units later on. So I'll definitely get a lot of value out of that. For my opponent, it is going to be a skip. And what is his answer to my Phantom Rays? It's going to be Multi-Melter. Multi-Melter is very strong into Phantom Rays, but they are susceptible of being disabled with like EM Phoenixes or just EM Stormcallers. So that's something that you have to be aware of. It's just to have a lot of chaff, preferably like late arriving fans. So I wouldn't mind putting another vertical fan behind this guy here, and so that I just keep walking upward. All right, let's see how Multi-Melter does. In terms of deployment, they are deployment efficient because you can get one multi-melter and it can comfortably deal with 2 if not 3 squads of phantoms or rays. And because they're so tanky, I'm not able to kill them fast enough. So this multi-melter is doing a lot of work. The squad of phantom rays on the side is picking off stray arc lights, but I don't think I'll win this round. Now, whenever you see multi-melter, just remember that the melter themselves are actually pretty bad without the technology. They shoot very slow. They have to switch target, and there's just too many phantom rays for them to deal with if it does not have the technology. So one play, whenever you see this type of defense, is to figure out how you're going to get your EM. And before I do that, I want to get Cloak first. Cloak allows my phantom rays to close in onto the multi-melter and hopefully to DPS him down. And later on, I can also take Burst. So multi-melter has a charging attack, which means it cannot kill you right away. It needs a few seconds to charge up. As long as you can destroy the multi-melter in that first few seconds, you're in a pretty good shape. So Burst is a way to do that, to just quickly bring the melter down before it has the ability to even react to your phantom rays. Alright, ranged Mustangs are now clearing a little bit better, especially on the side here, but the multi-melter is still on point. The good thing about Cloak is that once they charge on and you go into Cloak, they have to lose that charge, which means you essentially reset the attack animation. So that is very good for a unit like Phantom Ray. It allows them to survive a lot longer. But this melter is already level 2, so it is a little bit more difficult. Let's see if we get a good tower here. Indeed we do. But is there enough to actually kill a level 2 melter? And yes, it is. Alright. So far, I feel like my opponent is defending against it, and this is probably pretty common if you're trying this strategy. So let's go a little bit further and let's talk about how to react with this type of game. Farseer is being offered. I think Farseer is a great option. I was originally going to go with Phoenixes for my source of EM, but since Farseer was offered, I'm going to go with Farseer with EM. Farseer also doubles as a chaff clear unit, which means it will help my Mustangs to get rid of the stuff at the front, and then it will EM whatever big units that's behind it. And the Farseer, they themselves are also decent into units like Arclights, so I think it's a great addition to my army. Loose is taken for the crawlers, mostly to give them a little bit more staying power into these ranged Arclights, and now are level 3 and level 2, so they're a little bit tricky to deal with. All right. The first thing you notice that my opponent did add 2 more melting points, now with range and energy diffraction. So as soon as my Phantom Ray getting range, they will be targeted. But luckily for me, because of Cloak, every time they move and decloak, they will have to be retargeted. So that is potentially a saving technology. Alright, my Farseer is now on target on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, though... Oh, no, there it is. Okay. We'll get into the tower, which means now we're sweeping across. And remember, the melting points in the middle, these are only level 1, even though this guy is quickly getting into level 2. Okay, being disabled. Alright, we're now moving towards the tower. Alright, Farseer's actually doing really well here. Intensive training is offered. Both Amcore and Intensive Training are good cards for my opponent. Amcore on a melting point just allows them to charge up damage faster and kill things a lot more efficiently. But for me here, it's going to be multiple level 2 Farseers, because all I need is just to disable the melting point and I should be in a good spot. More Phantom Rays being added. A few level ups. All right. The Mustangs are also getting leveled, so the further the Mustang levels, the better it is going to be for Chapter, especially when they're dealing with level 1 crawlers. My opponent did take Underground, so that is a strong technology into Chapter like Mustangs. Underground don't really work into high-level Arclights because they still one-shot the unit, but for Mustangs where you have to take multiple shots, that additional defense, so Underground gives you a 55% damage reduction, which is quite strong. Multi-Melter in the center. They are just doing so much work here, and of course late arriving fans just stalling up these Phantom Rays for as long as possible. But I'm feeling pretty good this round because of the additional Farseers. Once you lock down to these Multi-Melter, they become extremely slow at killing Phantom Rays. Alright, we still have a level 2 right here, still doing damage. And it feels like my army is being outscaled with the Multi-Melter. Alright, we got unit drop, we got boats. Boats themselves are actually decent. Tarantula is pretty good as well, if you want to do things like the Spider-Mine Tarantula. But into Multi-Melter though, I feel like this is just a little risky. But now I'm just going to take the Rhino. The Rhino provides a necessary shield for my Mustangs to get through. And I can always sell them. I mean, these are good value. You can sell them every single turn. Anti-Missile is picked by the Farseers. Why Anti-Missile? Well, at a certain point, I expect my opponents to either add more Stonecrawlers, knowing how large my Mustangs will be, or to get EM Barrage from the melting point. So both of which are good into Anti-Missile. And since I already have 4 Farseers with the intention of adding more, I just see it as a long-term investment. Bombard is coming down. I didn't have enough money to get Bombards and getting the upgrades in. I thought for sure he was going to go with the strong side with the level 5 Mustangs, but my opponent actually went for the weaker side, so great, a little bit of mind game here. Now these Multi-Melters are all leveled, and this one with item, level 3, level 3, 3, and level 2. So they're very scary. A level 3 Melter actually kills things very fast, as you can see right here in the middle. Right, my units were just coming in and they get targeted right away. The cloaking is doing a lot of work, especially as we're kind of clearing out these fans and decloak and cloak. But the real issue though is my Farseer are getting into the Melter a little bit too late. So either I need to put down more Farseers, or I need an alternative source of EM. Because I know that once they're disabled, they're not able to do the damage. So when you're playing Phantom Rays into Multi-Melter, this entire game will be played around disabling the melting point. Yeah, gets disabled again. Gonna get tower. But this time, maybe. Oh, just in time. Just getting rid of that melting point. Okay. Another Amcore is probably gonna get chosen just to put on the melting point. Nope, it's gonna be a Jav. maybe jab like right here. This would be a super juicy jab, but instead it's going to try to catch my 2 Farseers. It's a good play because the Farseer is pretty much the central unit to my build. Without the Farseers, the multi-melter just kills everything else. Now, knowing how brittle this type of build can be, I've decided to diversify a little bit with Stonecallers. Stonecallers can also have EM and also have range, and it becomes a very difficult unit to deal with in the later rounds, especially for melting points. Oil is coming down from my opponent also with the jab. And also on the ground, so triple tech or triple abilities this round. Alright, for me it's just going to be a bunch of melting point. In all seriousness, I probably should have sold the Rhino, especially the Rhino in the middle. I mean, it's running right into level 4 and level 3 melting point, so it's not really doing too well. Clicking on a Phantom Rays, they're still doing quite a lot of damage. Like this Phantom Ray, not great, right? 25,000. This one is doing 70,000. All right, AM devices are coming down from my opponent, 4 of them. Perhaps anticipating my Stonecaller switch. Perhaps it's just there for the Phantom Rays, but either way, it's a good choice because, oh yeah, it's probably because of the Farseers. Because if you can intercept the missiles from my Farseers, it can prevent the multi-melter from being disabled, and then it can win the game. And it's actually working really well for him. Okay. Now, I am still going to get that tower, I think. And the Stonecallers are doing a lot of damage. And slowly, I'm just chipping away at these AM devices. Those aren't cheap. They are 100 supplies a pop. Now, right now, my Stonecallers do not have EM, which means I cannot slow these melting points down. But with EM, I think this could be an extremely powerful combination. Alright, intensive training is offered once again. Super heavy armor is pretty good. Not for me, but for my opponent, because imagine putting a super heavy armor on like a level 4 or level 5 melting point, and this guy just won't die. And there it is, super heavy armor. Coming down to this melting point. And that is truly a scary combination. So on my side, it's going to be range and launcher overload. Don't have enough money for EM just yet, but for now, I think I just want to overwhelm his chaff line and allowing my Farseer to actually get in and do the damage we need onto this melting point. The Phantom Rays still only just have Cloak, and that's mostly because I don't have, like, none of the other technologies are particularly good into whatever my opponent is running, right? Shield, armor, they're all mediocre into melting point, so didn't want to waste the money for that. Elite arc lights, giving them the ability to kill my Mustangs even faster. And we also have these 2 rhinos. I completely forgot about them, right? Armored Rhino is there to distract my Mustangs. Alright, so we got mass Stonecallers, mass Phantom Rays, and just a whole lot of units at range. This type of build is pretty susceptible for things like a War Factory, but because I also have Farseers, and I can continue to build Farseers and taking EM on the Stonecallers, so it is a little risky if you are starting to put down War Factories right now. The Phantom Rays are starting to fall out of the favor because of the leveled melting points. On the right hand side, this heavy armor melting point is just tanking everything. But now with EM already in full effect, and also with the huge number of Stonecallers, I think we should be able to at least deal a considerable amount of damage here. Not quite. But my Mustangs are getting into the back, and we're taking down these very expensive devices, which is good for me. All right, good tower. Come on, Mustang, you can do it. Yeah, getting another AM device. And not locking down this melting point. Triple Fortress might be pretty good for my opponent. For me, I mean, none of this is particularly interesting. I'll probably just get the Sabertooth and sell for cash. Continue to level up these Mustangs. These are my crucial chaff clearing units, and also they turn into chaff later on. And for the Stormcaller, they're getting their third technology, which is EM, and that is going to pin everything on the board. Like, nothing moves an inch. I don't have any chaff at the front, and I don't want to buy any chaff because I just don't have enough deployment. So I've decided to add some anti-missiles in case the Stormcallers do get missiled. So now the general strategy is we're going to hold my opponent's board to a halt. And the Stormcallers will just continue to bombard them. And here comes the EM barrages. Luckily, I already do have devices, but also Farseer already have the interceptor on them as well. Oil is being purchased. Oil is great at just kind of slowing things down even more. So with oil, if my opponent does not push shield in the middle, these two melting point would never walk out of this oil because they will be slowed, and then they will also be disabled by the Stormcallers. All right, tons of missiles went down. And here comes the overwhelming firepower from the Stormcallers. The left-hand side is actually doing really well. We got some crawlers that went through. But on the right-hand side, though, everything is being stopped. Like, if you're clicking on this melting point, they're moving like 1 meter per second. So an endgame with this many Stormcallers is very tricky to play into. I mean, yes, you can get your own Stonecaller. You could probably get like Marksman, but what are you gonna do, right, with this many Stonecallers? And I think this could be game. All right. So let's take a look at the board. What did we learn from this particular game? Well, first of all, my opponent knows exactly what I'm going with, and he has a plan, which is multi-melter. The multi-melter did answer the Phantom Race. However, for a while, they were being countered pretty hard with the EM Farseers. Now, EM Farseers are not enough because the Phantom Rays tend to move a little bit forward. So when you see this sort of multi-melter build, and if your Phantom Rays are sort of on the same line as the Farseers, just be a little bit scared because there's a chance that by the time your Farseer actually locks onto the melting point, your Phantom Rays would have been dead. Which is why I pivoted into Stonecallers, because not only this allows me to clear that initial wave of chaff, it also allows me to pin down this melting points for a little bit longer. So hopefully my Phantom Rays will be able to get in there and do the damage. If you click on the Phantom Rays here, I mean, this guy on the right, they did all right. 100k, 14k, got pretty much instant locked. 14k, 42k, 3000, terrible. 600, terrible. And then 50k. Okay, so the ones in the middle, they got locked on pretty quickly because one is just I don't have enough chaff pack here. I have one pack of crawler, which means once these crawlers die, you get locked on right away. And then second is just my opponent has this entire board coming towards the middle because of my Fang, so I need to spend some additional time clearing out this chaff. Yeah, so combination of EM Stonecallers, Farseers, some sort of Chaff Clear, they work really well into the Phantom Race. All right, we're going to look into a bonus game. It's going to be a short one, I promise. And that one is going to be an Aggro Phantom Ray into Multi-Melter. And I'm going to show you, instead of beating Multi-Melter using EM, how can we do that using Burst from Phantom Ray? And Burst is one of those technologies that people don't usually pick. So I want to show you how powerful it is, and hopefully you can use that in your game as well. All right, let's jump into the next game. All right, at the bottom here, I am playing as a Typhoon Specialist. My opponent, a 201 player, is playing as a Amplify Specialist. I started with Sledgies and Fans into Stonecallers and Fans, and these Stonecallers are going to be placed in this sort of a T shape. The reason that some players do that is, one indication is that they might start selling the Stonecallers right away. The second indication is that with the T shape, you actually have staggered missiles, which means you have a higher chance of getting your opponent's units as opposed to all of the Stonecallers firing at the same time. So my opponent is going to go with asymmetrical aggro, double arc lights, fans, Stonecallers, and then a single squad of fans for defense on the other side. All right, round two. There's some unit options. Because we're on the line, the rate is actually very powerful. I fully expect my opponent to take Scorpion, but it turns out it's just going to be Sabretooth. I thought Scorpion would have been a better choice into Sledgehammers. All right, double Wraith on the line to deal with all this stuff here. And later on, I can always tech the Wraith with range or even with a gun. A single Sabretooth here for defense. No AA whatsoever, so that is going to be a problem for my opponent. All right, we got reinforcement. Laser sight is very good on a Wraith. Everything else, I mean, shield drop is pretty good as well on the line. All right, looks like it's going to be a laser sight. It is round 3, which means I get to have a Typhoon. So I want to put laser sight on the Typhoon and just provide some additional chaff clear on the side. My opponent decided to sell the Stonecaller and adding in a melting point, and that melting point is going to be a killer because it can kill both of my Wraith and pretty much everything else. I mean, I don't have anything that can actually deal with melting point at round 3. Now, pretty bold move here with the melting point, but let's see how I respond to that with Phantom Rays. Alright, I'm going to take Drill. Drill on the line allows my crawlers to do more damage, and also allows the crawler, if I were to put them on the side, to be more menacing. It almost forces my opponent to either take Drill himself or to take additional chaff clear units. Alright, the melting point is doing a lot of work. Unable to bring that down with my units. Okay, ER Phantom Rays, maybe. On the line, ER Phantom Rays could be good because it actually stops your Phantom Rays from going too far. In the case of Phantom Ray and Wraith combination, ER Phantom Rays keeps the Phantom Rays behind your Wraith. Or for now, I'm just going to call them donuts because Wraith and Rays sound too similar. So donut, Rays, right? Jaff coming down directly onto the melting point. Double Rays. This melting point is going to be level 2, which means the Jaff does not kill it. It has about 10,000 or 1,000 HP left over, and that should be enough just for the Phantom Rays to slightly tap it. And there it goes. All right. Assault Melting Point. I think that is a great card for my opponent. Not only are you going to get some additional HP, we're talking about 70% HP. And since you're already on the line, you really don't care about range that much. Your Melting Point will outrange every single unit that I have. And taking that additional 70% is huge. It was not taken by my opponent, which I thought was a mistake. I thought it was just such a great card built for something like this. The second Melting Point is being added in. Now with range and energy diffraction, so this Melting Point can actually reach the Phantom Rays right away. I always find range interesting on stuff on the line here. Unless he has like a huge line of chaff that is stopping my Phantom Rays from moving closer, I feel like range is a bit wasted. It's the same idea, right? When I see boats with launcher overloads and range, I feel like if you're on the line, just skip range and just get more boats. Because chances are you're going to be fighting the Phantom Rays in range anyways, and the Phantom Rays is not going to shoot any further than 80 meters. Or in this case 65, because I did take temp range. Right, multi-melter, pretty devastating. The Rays coming in through the middle. They are doing okay because of my late arriving crawlers, so I was able to bring that down here. But still, the multi-melter was locking onto multiple of my units. This one right here is actually able to clear the entire squad of Phantom Rays. So this round is actually a lot closer than I hoped for. Still, lots of pressure on my side, bringing my opponent down to 500 HP. But he is at the risk of stabilizing. So we got a reinforcement card. You can go Efficient Giant and he can just drop down even more multi-melters. EM is being offered, so that allows me to disable the technology on his melters. And it's very dangerous because at any point, my opponent could stabilize just with even more melting point. Alright, first thing first, we're going to get Phoenixes. Good use of the shield bubble because of EM. I cannot EM my air units, so I'm going to have to take the hit. Phoenixes are there specifically to answer multi-melter. And another multi-melter coming down from the other side, and he still has 550 left over. So he can build a fourth multi-melter. So all of a sudden, the board becomes very dangerous, even though I am very close to winning the game. Okay, the third technology, which is absorption. Personally, I believe absorption is a bit of an overcommitment because you have to know that some type of EM is coming your way. So taking that third technology seems a little bit more too ambitious. But it doesn't matter. Multi-melter are doing their things, and yeah, my units are not able to get through. Okay, we're gonna get to this one here because of the additional squad of Phantom Rays. But as you can see here on the other side, he is clearing my army fairly well. Okay, Melter getting onto the Phoenix. Was not able to get that EM down. And now with the energy absorption, he is going to kill pretty much everything that's here. Okay, so I need to close this game up. What can I do? Alright, so we got Sandworm. We got Phantom Rays. My opponent took triple fortresses. The fortresses are there specifically to provide air support, namely to get rid of these phoenixes. I sold the Sandworm, and I took Burst on Phantom Rays. I noticed that there's no late arriving chaff, which means whatever is gone at the front, that's it for my opponent. So it's just a matter of kind of powering through all these giants. High level melting points with energy absorption could be very tricky to deal with. I mean, sure, I have some EM available, but once they latch on, they can do a lot of damage to you. Missile to get rid of that frontal chaff line, and then let's see how this works with Burst. Alright, we're gonna put this in slow motion because I think this is glorious. Alright, Rays coming in. The first melting point. Gone. The second melting point on the far right. Being targeted. Gone. Arclight. Gone. The final melting point right here in the middle. Desperately trying to latch onto everything. Fortress. Gone. Another fortress. See you later. And the final melting point. Man, I love Burst when it works. How to stop this type of play? Well, having a second or third layer of chaff in the form of crawlers would definitely waste a lot of shots from this Phantom Ray. So if I were my opponent this round and I want to defend against this, this is what I would do. I think he's very good. He's almost there, right? In terms of taking care of whatever units I have. If I were him, I'd probably go with the Vulcans. Especially Vulcan on the side. It's just because I have so many units here. We are going to level these melting points because they are very good. And we're just going to keep adding. We're going to keep adding chaff units. Since I did get the Vulcan, having oil here is good for me. Let's get rid of this tank here. I'm gonna get range. Let's just get clear some units so that my Phantom Rays can actually do work. I mean, not Phantom Rays, the melting points can actually do work. And that's it. Alright, getting rid of the units. Melting point already on target. Yep, it doesn't matter if there's burst. I got enough melting point here to take care of the rest of the army. Didn't even need to ignite the fire. And just like that, you have a nice 2200 damage into my board. So yeah, so like this game, the example is not so much to show how powerful the Phantom Ray, as you can see at the highest level, is very easily countered if you just know the fundamentals of Mechabellum, of chaff layers. But I just want to show you how cool it is to have burst on the line into a unit like this. So I hope you enjoyed this. With the Phantom Ray, I think this strategy works best from around the 1600 up to about 2000 MMR. Try to have it in the back line in standard. It is a game about having critical masses, because if your opponent doesn't know how to deal with that, or if it deals with it incorrectly, for example, using marksman instead of multi-melter or Phoenix Mustang combination, then he's in for a very bad time. So I hope you try this strategy out. Let us know how it works. I think it's a very fun strategy. It also gives you an opportunity to play this very new unit that a lot of the players don't currently play. So give it a try. And if you want to see another video, here's one for you, and I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.